Hey guys, it's me, and today I am here with a new series of videos for you guys, and that is my makeup collection series. So I've been wanting to do a video in which I talk about my makeup collection for quite some time now, but I've always never had the best of luck with doing these kinds of videos, just simply because I have always wanted to go through my entire collection in one solid video, when in reality, although that does make a lot of sense to do, is not the best way to go about doing it, because then I will wind up having a video that's at least an hour long, even with good pacing. And I know this because I've done this multiple times in the past, and they always wind up just taking so long. So instead we're doing a little series, and so there's going to be 3 parts, possibly 4 parts. Let me know if you want to see the 4th part, which would be dedicated to makeup brushes and tools and things of that nature and whatnot. So let me know if you would want to see an installment on those things. But in this series, the original 3 parts that we're going to be doing today, they're going to be centered around my face drawer, my eyes and lips drawer, and my 2 palettes drawers. And if you think that this intro might seem a little bit similar or familiar to you, that is because I'm going to be using this intro in each of the 3 parts. Now, my makeup collection is not that large. It's not something very extensive like a lot of beauty gurus that you see on YouTube doing their makeup collections and whatnot. My collection is more so curated to my needs and what I want to have in my collection. In my eyes, when it comes to my makeup collection, I want to fill in holes that haven't been filled in yet. So if I don't have a eyeshadow of this particular shade, I'm going to look for that eyeshadow, whether if it means like getting a palette where that shadow is present or getting a single shadow of it, so that way I can fill in that hole in my collection. The only category in which I have, like, I guess you could say, like an excessive amount or a lot of repeats is probably my face drawer. So a lot of like foundations and everything. I don't need all the foundations that I have, but I want to try out different formulas, see which ones work best for me. And then too, I'm trying to find like my perfect shade. It is quite difficult for me to find my perfect shade, whatnot, because I am on the fair light end of the spectrum, and I also have a cool pink undertone, and those foundations, for whatever reason these days, are really tricky to find in the right shade for me. It's always like either the right shade, wrong undertone, or right undertone, wrong shade, or they wind up making it peach undertone and not pink undertone, and peach tends to look a bit dark on me. So if you want to see my makeup collection, stay tuned. We're about to jump on into it, but before we do so, if you guys are new here to my channel, don't forget to hit subscribe, and also while you're down there, definitely give this video a thumbs up, because that'll help me out a lot. All my links are down in the description box below, and yeah, let's get into it. In this first installment of the series, we are going to be tackling my face drawer. So in my face drawer, we have a lot of different things in here. We mostly have foundations, but there are also some other things in here. We have moisturizers, I have a single primer, I have a single setting powder, I have a couple of bronzers, couple of blushes, couple of single highlighters, a couple setting sprays, and then we also have my little sample doodads that I have from Sephora. And there's also 2 little empty containers in here. I'll get to that in just a bit. And then we also have my fragrances in here. So I keep my fragrances in here just simply because I don't have any good place to put them, because I've heard that it's not the best to store fragrances in a area where there's a lot of natural sunlight, which my room gets a lot of natural lighting because I have 2 windows and my room is positioned on the side of the house where the sun hangs out a lot. So because of that, a lot of natural sunlight comes into my room, and like I mentioned before, I've heard that natural sunlight can really mess with fragrances and whatnot, the longevity of them. So I keep them stored in a place where they will be away from natural lighting. Start out with talking about these empty containers real quick. So these little containers I use for samples that I get from like Sephora or what have you. So this one here, this is what I would store, like something that's in like more so like a pot type of sample type of thing, whereas like that type of thing that a lot of times I see like pills being stored in, that type of packaging with samples. If I have used a sample and I still have a decent amount of product left and I want to continue using it, I'll store it in this container here, which you can get a big pack of these from like Amazon for like $10 or 12 bucks. I can't remember how much they cost me and how many were in this pack. I think there's like 10 or 12 of them and whatnot. I have most of them in my hair drawer to store like leftover hair color that I use for whenever I make like custom shades, or if I have like a small amount of a hair color in like a tube or something, I'll just pop them in there and then I'll just drop the container on the floor. Then I have this smaller one here, which I also got a pack of, I think maybe like 12 of these off of Amazon as well for about 10 or 12 bucks. I use these to store like leftovers of like a moisturizer sample sachet that I get from Sephora, because sometimes you don't need to use everything that is in the little sample sachet. So I'll pop the leftovers in here so that way I can continue using it and trying it out. Sometimes it's only about maybe like 1 or 2 uses that are in those things, but sometimes you can squeeze out a third if you're lucky. I guess I'll quickly touch on my fragrances that I have in here, because I know some people find fragrances to be interesting. So we'll touch on those real quick. I only have but 4. The first of the like the mini sample ones that I have is West by Ellis Brooklyn. This has a bit of a citrusy scent. It says that it has blood orange, clementine, basil, vetiver, and oak moss in it. This is a really nice scent right here. I really do like citrusy scents, and I do see myself possibly getting a full size of this once I run out. There is another one that I want to try from Ellis Brooklyn. I think it's called Sci-Fi, I believe is the one. It's another citrusy scent. That one is a bit more extreme on the citrus side, I believe, from what I remember. It was either this one was more on the extreme citrus side or that one was. But I definitely want to try that one out. And then there's also another one. I think it's called Rose. I think it's the Rose one. I think it's the other one that I wanted to try. Then I have this one here. This is from Jo Malone, and this is the Wood Sage and Sea Salt Cologne. This one is such a good scent. I'm very particular about colognes because I noticed that when it comes to colognes, they tend to all smell the same to me a lot of the times, but this one smells so good. I definitely want to get a full size of this one once I run out of it. See, and then I have like a little roller ball here. This is from Toka and it's in the scent Gia, and I got this using 100 points from Sephora, and this one smells really pleasant. I also had Florence, but that one was a very strong, like florally type scent. Like it had some like patchouli. This one is a bit more on the sweeter side of things, which I don't tend to like sweet scents, but it's not so sweet to the point where it's kind of like sugary or very feminine. It's very neutral, which I really do like about this. When it comes to me and fragrances, I tend to go for like citrusy, woodsy type of scents, or like very like neutral scents. And then lastly, we have a fragrance which I don't think you'll ever be able to get again unless you like stalk Mercari or something like that. But I got this in a duo, which you'll see the other half of that in my Eyes and Lips drawer video. But here is the little mini spritzer doodad of Sinner from KVD. Before Kat Von D was ousted from the brand, she had like a Saint and Sinner collection, and in that collection were fragrances. You had the Sinner perfume and the Saint perfume, and this guy came in a duo with the scent and the liquid lipstick in the shade Sinner, and this guy smells so good. It is such a nice scent. I'm glad that I have this in my collection, and I'm also glad that it's a larger bottle. Like when it comes to medium fragrances, I don't use them very often, so having them in this kind of size is perfect for me. Those are my fragrances. Just wanted to quickly get those over with since they're in this drawer. And then now let's go over my little sample bits that I have in here still from Sephora. I only have a couple of these. Some of them I am going to try out soon, and others are just probably going to hang out here until I get around to using them. So one of them is the Charlotte Tilbury Charlotte's Magic Cream Instant Turnaround Moisturizer, and I've been wanting to try this out for a very long time. Charlotte Tilbury is very bougie, very expensive, and this is a pretty like generous sample sachet here. I haven't opened this guy up yet because I want to use this when I'm not using makeup and whatnot, so I want to make sure that I can test it out on its own just so that way I can see how it actually works with my skin. I also have another Charlotte Tilbury sample bit, and this is the Hollywood Flawless Filter for Superstar Youth Glow sample sheet, and it has, I believe, all the shades for this guy. And I haven't used this guy just yet. As you can see, I definitely want to get around to. It's just that I always forget to. The next item that I got here is from Rare Beauty, and this is a Blush and Glow little sample sheet doodad thingy. And in here we have two of the Soft Pinch Liquid Blushes, and then we have two of the Positive Light Liquid Luminizers. So the blushes that we have here are Joy and Bliss, and the highlighters we have are Transcend and Flaunt. Now these are the types of sample doodads that I would put in that larger container, since they have like this like tab type of packaging. Like if it's just like a sample sachet, then I'll pop it into that little smaller container. And I have two foundations here. So we have, well, technically this isn't a foundation, but it's a base product, and that is from Kosas, and this is the Tinted Face Oil. This is a product that I'm curious about trying out, but I'm also quite nervous about trying out, just simply because I've tried products similar to this in the past, and I did not like them. Like I had like little samples of them. I did not like them. I didn't like the texture, the consistency of them. They just weren't that great. I'm still gonna try it out though, because I have been wanting to try out like tinted moisturizers more. It's just that it's so hard for me to find ones that are going to work for me. I've been noticing when it comes to like the fair and the light end of the spectrum with tinted moisturizers, they tend to lean more neutral in shades, and neutral tends to pull very yellow on me. Lastly, we have a little sample doodad of the Anastasia Luminous Foundation. Has these 4 little tabs here. I've been holding on to this. I got this, I think, right at the same time I got like a full-size bottle of the foundation, which we'll get to in just a moment. But I wanted to hold on to this because the shade that I have in the full-size bottle has a neutral undertone and it pulls a bit more yellow on me. So I wanted to hold on to this so I can test this shade out again, because I have tested this one out before in the past. So that way I can be like, do I really want to get a full size of this foundation or what? And so I want to test and see if this shade would work out better for me, or if I should try like a different shade and everything. Because like the undertones in this foundation, at least in like the fair end of the spectrum, all have very strange undertones. Because the shade that I have, which I'll show you in just a bit, is 140N, and it has a neutral peach undertone. It's a very interesting color selection. We'll just leave it at that. Those are the samples that I have. I am going to be working through these hopefully soon, eventually, because I've had these for quite some time now. Alrighty, so next up, let's talk about my setting sprays. I have 2 setting sprays in my collection. We have this one here. This is the Maven Beauty Rose Water Setting Spray. I got this in my first BoxyCharm, and I mentioned in that video, and I've talked about this multiple times since then, but Maven Beauty is not a brand that I actively support and whatnot, because they are owned by Fashion Nova, and I don't support them because they've done a lot of shady stuff that I just don't agree with. And since this is part of their brand, it's not something that I'm going to repurchase. But I will say this though, I need to find a dupe for it, because I actually really do like this product. It's a really nice little setting spray. I don't use setting sprays for like longevity and whatnot. I use them as a finisher type product, and this is a really nice setting spray. I really do enjoy it, so I need to find an alternative for it. This one could be a good alternative for it, but it just doesn't have the same effect and whatnot, because this one is definitely a bit more punchy than that one. But it is the NYX Dewy Finish setting spray, and this is I think my 2nd or 3rd bottle of it. I really do love this setting spray. Of all the setting sprays that I have tried over the years, this one is definitely my favorite one. It just makes my skin just look so nice. I have very dry skin, so using products that allow my skin to have like some glow, some shine and everything, and to not look dry as a biscuit are wonderful, and this is definitely a product that helps me out in that department. I have a lot of moisturizers in here. I have 4 different moisturizers, 3 of which are full size. One of them is a deluxe sample. We'll start out with the one that is a deluxe sample, which I do plan on getting a full size of once I start working, which will hopefully be soon. This is a product that I've been wanting to try for so long, and I have it now, and I love it, and I need a full size of it, and that is the Tatcha Dewy Skin Cream. I got this from Sephora. I got this, I think it was like one of their offers that they had going on at the time. Like once you spend like X amount of money, you can like pop in this code to get like a deluxe sample of this guy. I think that's what the case was. And I had been wanting to try this guy out along with the water cream, but this one I heard is really good for dry skin, and whereas the water cream is good for all skin types, so I figured that this one would be a better fit for me, so I was happy to try out this one. And let me tell you this moisturizer is the absolute tits. It is amazing. If you are like me and you have dry skin and eczema prone skin on your face, this moisturizer is so good, because I only use this guy in moments where my skin is very, very dry, because it packs in so much hydration that I know some people that are really into skincare might get offended with me by saying this, but it's so full of hydration that I won't need to put on moisturizer for about 2 to 3 days, because it leaves me that hydrated. I only use this when I'm extremely dry. So that's how I've been able to hold on to it for as long as I have. I've had it for a couple of months now, and it's lasted me that long because, for one, you don't need to use that much product, and 2, because I only use it when I absolutely need to, especially given that the full size jar of it is like $68. This one is the newest one to my collection. This is the Good Mood Gel Moisturizer from 43 Beauty, which is ColourPop skincare line, and this is a nice little moisturizer. I've used it quite a few times and I've gotten like a good feel for it. It's a nice little moisturizer. At first I was a little bit worried about it because the first couple of times that I used it, I noticed that it didn't necessarily burn, but there was like a slight tingle and whatnot, and I think it was because this moisturizer doesn't really react very well whenever I'm having like not a bad eczema breakout, but when my eczema is a little bit more on the irritated side of things, because the guy does have like a bit of a rose scent to it. It's not a heavy rose scent. Like, it starts out pretty heavy, but like once it absorbs into the skin, it's gone. And which, since this is a gel formula, it absorbs very quickly into the skin. And speaking of gel formula, this next moisturizer is also a gel formula, and this is the Super Hydrate from e.l.f. So if you want like a similar thing going on and from a similar price point like the 43 Beauty one, this is a great alternative because it's also a gel formula. I don't even know if you'll be able to see that in the jar there, but this is a really nice little moisturizer. I really do like this one. It's a lot more gel-like than the 43 Beauty one. The 43 Beauty is like an in-between, like a regular moisturizer and a gel formula. This one is like full-blown gel formula, and I really do like it, although I will say this, you need a spatula to get the product out. And the last moisturizer that I have here, this I also got my first BoxyCharm, and it is from Glow Recipe, and this is the Banana Souffle, wow. This is the Banana Souffle Moisture Cream, and I really do enjoy this moisturizer as well. It's a nice moisturizer. This one is one that I will use if I'm dry, but not as dry as like I can be. Like if I'm noticeably dry, like I'm getting close to where I need to use the Tatcha, I'll use this one instead, because this one packs in a lot of hydration as well. It doesn't do nearly as much as the Dewy Skin Cream, but it does pack in a lot of hydration, which I really do love. And also the scent of it It's such a pleasant scent. It has like a very light banana smell to it. I just love the smell of bananas, okay? Let's see, next up, I guess we'll talk about the primer that I have. Primers aren't really something that I rave about because honestly, I'll just use moisturizer before putting on my foundation and other base products and I'm good to go. But I got this in my, I believe my second BoxyCharm. And this is the Touch in Sol Pretty Filter Icy Sherbet Primer. And there's a lot of this stuff here, which is why I am definitely am going to be using it. I used it today just on its own. I didn't put on any moisturizer underneath, and I think that it worked pretty well without moisturizer underneath. It's a very thick consistency, and it's also very different from what you would expect it to be, because it looks like it would be like a very like silicone-y type product, but it's not. And it also has a bit of a cooling effect to it, and I like how it feels on the skin and everything. Whether or not it does anything special for the skin and everything and improves like the longevity of makeup and whatnot, I don't know. Then I have a little setting powder here. This is a deluxe sample of the KVD Lock It Setting Powder in Translucent. I got this again from Sephora using one of their offer codes that they had at the time, and it was get 10 foundation / concealer samples, and then you could get a pore filling primer deluxe sample and a deluxe sample of this setting powder. Now, I have used this setting powder and it's really nice. I would only use it on my under eyes though, back when I was using a concealer that I actually still have in this drawer, but I'm going to be decluttering it today. And we'll talk about that in just a bit, but I'll use it for like concealers if they are a bit more on the moist side of things, because that way it will reduce the possibility of my under eyes creasing really badly, because I'll pop on concealer and then my eyeshadows and whatnot, and I don't want my eyeshadows to crease very badly, so I'll use that setting powder to just help to ensure that things don't crease up that badly. Okay, so next up, I guess we can move on to bronzers. First bronzer that I have here is a bronzer that I'm wearing today, but honestly, I'm going to part ways with it, and it's gonna shock you guys and everything when you see this guy. This is the Mini Milk Matte Bronzer in the shade Baked. Yeah. What had happened, and I've noticed this when reading the reviews for the mini of this bronzer, is that the component just would not screw any product up. So once I hit a certain point, I couldn't get any more product out of the component to come up. So I was just like, let's just depot it and just do it that way. And when doing so, it changed it somehow, because it was very matte before, but as you can see, there's a lot of moisture in it right now. And excuse my computer, I didn't know that it was gonna talk to me right then for whatever reason. Like, the texture of it has changed. It's definitely more creamy now, and it just doesn't work the same way. But also, like, I have another bronzer in my collection that I do like a bit more than this one. This one isn't bad by any means, but I do prefer the other bronzer that I have just in terms of like color. Formula, this is a really nice product. Color though, it's not the best for me. I just find that it's a bit too orangey on me. And so because of that, I am going to go ahead and declutter it, and I'm just going to throw this whole damn thing away. I have plenty of these other ones around, so it's no big deal if I throw it away. The other bronzer that I have that I am happy to keep, I absolutely despise opening because it's so difficult to open, but it is a mini of the Marc Jacobs Tantastic Omega Bronzer. And I got this in a duo mini set thingy. I wanted to try this guy out because I've heard so many great things about this bronzer, and since all of Marc Jacobs products right now are on sale, because I think they're possibly rebranding. Like, some people have said that the brand is going out of business, or at least like the makeup brand is going out of business. Other people have been saying that they're rebranding. I don't know what's going on, okay? All I know is that all their makeup is 50% off on Sephora, and I think even on their own website. So yeah, I have thought about picking up some other Marc Jacobs products, but They're not items that I absolutely need, but I've heard so many great things about this particular bronzer that I wanted to give it a go. And since it has a neutral undertone, I thought that it would be a good fit for me because I have tried a neutral tone bronzer in the past and I really liked how it looked on me. I really liked the color on me. I didn't really care for the formula that much on that particular one because I decluttered it, but I liked the color on me. And I must say, I do like the color of this guy. But it does lean a bit more cool. I will say that. But other than that, it is a really great bronzer. And it's really nice. I really like it. It's not too heavy of a color, so it's not too pigmented. It's very buildable, and it just looks really nice on the skin. It's really nice. It's a really nice bronzer. Now let's move on into blushes. So I only have a one powder blush, and this is from Pixi. It's Pixi by Petra, and it's in the shade Beach Rose. I got this in one of my Ipsy glam bags. It did sadly crack on me not too long ago because I was using it and I tapped the side of my brush on it and I tapped it way too hard and part of it cracked. So yeah, but it's no big deal. This is a really nice blush. I will use this blush on days where I'm wearing a super bright and colorful eye makeup look and everything, because the other blushes that I have are a bit more pinkier in tone. This one is very neutral in tone. So I'll use this guy instead because I can use it because of the fact that it's very neutral in tone. It adds a flush of color to the cheeks while also kind of sort of shaping the face and everything because of that neutral tone to it. So I can use it to like carve out the cheeks and shape the face a little bit while also adding like a flush of color to the face. I'm not wearing it today, but it's a really nice option for those particular days. And I am so annoyed with having to constantly fix the exposure on this video right now. Oh my god, but this is the only time that I have to film right now, so I'm taking advantage of it because I have the house to myself. My nephew isn't here singing the song with his people, so I have good air time to film, so I'm trying to get this stuff taken care of. Ugh. The next blush that I have here is from Milk, and this is their mini lip and cheek in the shade Work. And I got this as a free birthday gift from Sephora last year because they had like a mini Milk makeup sample doodad that you could get for a free birthday gift last year. There was this, a mini Kush mascara, which I have in my eyes and lips drawer, and then a little sample sachet of the Hydro Grip primer, which I did not like. I did not like that primer whatsoever. It just felt so weird on my skin. It just made my skin feel so dry and made my foundation look really dry. It was not for me. But this is a really pretty blush. I'm wearing it today. You can definitely get this to be a very sheer wash of color, which is what I prefer with these types of blushes that are more like pinkier in tone. This one definitely has more of a mauve tone to it. And it does say that you can use this on the lips, but I have noticed that it tends to be very patchy on the lips and just doesn't look really pretty on the lips, or at least on mine. So yeah, I definitely want to try out some more, but the other shades that they have are definitely like more punchy. I want to get like a more neutral tone and whatnot. There is one shade that could possibly work. It's like a peachier tone shade. It's just that I don't know how it would look on me though, because I've never used like a peach toned blush before, so I'm not sure if it would actually look good on me or not, because I know peach tones in terms of like lipsticks, if it's a neutral tone, it's going to look really good on me. If it's a bit too warm or a bit too cool, it might look a little bit weird. And the final blush that I have here, this is the Fenty Beauty Cream Blush, the Cheeks Out blush, and I have the shade Petal Poppin'. I'm going to warn you, this guy has been used a lot, so it's looking very haggard and gross, but I really do love this cream blush here. I do want to try out more of these. It's just similarly to the Milk ones. There are a lot of shades that are just very punchy. I went with this one because I know that these types of colors I do enjoy as blush and everything, because it's like a soft flush of pink and everything. And since it's a cream formula, it's very buildable, it's lightweight and everything. So I prefer like a light wash of blush and everything. That's just a personal preference of mine. Let's see, now let's move on to highlighter. So well, technically I have 3 highlighters. So we'll start out with the one that I'm wearing right now. It's not really a highlighter, but at the same time, it is kind of a highlighter, and that is the Tarte Shape Tape Glow Wand. And I got this in my third and final BoxyCharm that I got when I was trying them out. Like I've mentioned this before in a previous video. I did film a video of me doing an unboxing for that one. It's just that I changed the settings on my camera to try something different out with it, and the video footage was absolutely horrible. So it just wound up not seeing the light of day, but also wasn't that interesting of a video either. So yeah, but I really do like this guy. I'm wearing it on my face today. It's a product that's similar to the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Hollywood Filter for Superstar Youth Glow. Is that what it's called? It's a stupid long name. It's like that. It's a product like that, or like the Arc Beauty Glow Lust, which I really do want to try at some point. I don't know when they'll be doing a restock and whatnot, because I mean, Sam's life is all over the place right now because she just had her child, so yeah. But this product is very similar to them because it is like a highlighting type product, but it has a bit of coverage to it. It just adds this really pretty glow to the skin. It can be a little bit heavy and everything, which I did apply a little bit more than I've done in the past today, but I really like how it looks though, because it just looks like a very natural glow, and you can definitely shear this out to make it a lot less punchy than this is, which this isn't even that intense. Like, this is typically how I go for highlighters and everything, and I used to go for a much more intense glow. The other two highlighters that I have in here are from Fenty, and these are the Diamond Bombs. So I have two of them. I have one full size and then I have one mini. So the mini that I have is the one that I've been using the most. I've used this guy so many times. It's a wonderful highlighter. This is in the shade How Many Carats. Again, like I said, this is a mini. I don't think you can get this one in a mini anymore. I don't think. And similarly to the cream blush from Fenty that I have, this one has been used and is definitely looking very haggard. The discoloration that you'll see in the product is just simply from me like dipping back in, so like foundation transferring onto the product and whatnot. But How Many Carats is the universal white shade. So the good thing about the Diamond Bombs is that they have no base to them. The color that you see from the product is because of that is the color that reflects. So there is no base to it. So it's kind of like a oily type of consistency and whatnot. It's a very unique type of product, as you can see. And it's so nice. Like, How Many Carats I have used so many times. It's not a product that swatches very well, I have noticed, because I have swatched this in store in the past and I didn't like how it looked when it was swatched at all. But on the face, like over foundation, this guy, like these highlighters look so amazing on the face. Once you have like a full beat on, it is wonderful. I really do love these Diamond Bombs. I do want to get a full size of How Many Carats because I really do like this shade as well. But the second shade that I have is Rose Rave, and this shade I have wanted for so long. I got this during the Sephora sale, and I remember when this shade first launched, I was like, I have to have it because it's a pink tone highlighter. I prefer pinky toned highlighters on myself because they just work really well with my undertone. And I was a bit worried about this guy because I remember swatching it. And when I swatched it, it definitely had more of like a stronger, like pinky gold type of reflect to it. And golden tone highlighters, I do not like on myself. They just tend to look weird on me. But when I finally got this guy on my skin though, it looked so good. It looks so nice on my skin. It actually looks a lot softer and a lot more natural than How Many Carats. So if I'm wanting to go for a bit more of a subtle highlighted look and everything, I'll use this one. But if I would want something a little bit more striking, kind of like this today and everything, I would use How Many Carats. I have another highlighter. I completely forgot about this product, and I am going to be decluttering this. And this is the Cover FX Custom Enhancer Drops in the shade Celestial. I talked about this in my declutter video that I did a couple of months ago, that this was a product that I was considering decluttering. I don't know what it is. Like, it's a wonderful product. It's really pretty. For whatever reason though, I just can't get it to look good on me. I don't know why. I did think about possibly trying to do like the body highlighter trend, but it's just like, I know I'm never gonna like actually use that out in the wild and everything. And I still kind of want to give that a go, and I might actually do that today because I do need to change out of the shirt. I wore the shirt yesterday, so I'll probably change out of the shirt in just a bit when I take off my makeup later. But I'll probably just try it on for shits and giggles then. But after that, I'm going to part ways with it. Now we can move on into base products. So concealers is where we're going to start out with. And we're going to start out with this guy first because this is the concealer that I'm going to be decluttering. This is the NYX HD Studio Concealer. I've heard it having like so many different names and everything. I just call it the HD concealer, but I also have seen it called like the concealer wand, round concealer wand. Yeah, it's got a lot of different names, but it's this little concealer here. This is a concealer that I would use the KVD translucent setting powder with to set and everything because it is a bit more of a wetter formula. This is a nice little concealer. I had the shade Porcelain. I do think that this shade was just a little too light for me, just ever so slightly too light, but I could get away with it still. And it's a nice little concealer, and I have used it completely up. I've gotten everything out of it that I can get out of it. I know it looks like there's still product in there, but that's just stuff that is stuck to the walls of it. So yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and part ways with this guy and declutter it and send it down the trash. So the other concealer that I have, and this is a concealer that I've been using since I used up that one. This is the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer, and I have the shade Light Peach. And this is a really nice concealer. I really love the consistency of it. It has really nice coverage, and it just feels really nice. I don't have to set this concealer, which I do enjoy. I will say this though, due to the fact that it does have a peach undertone, it doesn't really go with my skin tone very well, but it's good for me though because I have been developing darkness on my under eyes. But I am thinking about getting the lightest shade because I know the lightest shade has a pink undertone, so I'm thinking about getting that shade and mixing it with this one so that way I can get like the right shade. So yeah, and I mean like, and this concealer is only about $6, so I mean it won't be that big of an issue to mix to make my proper shade and whatnot. If this was like a much more expensive concealer, I would probably have like a bit more of an issue with like having to like buy another one just to color correct and whatnot, but it's no big deal. It's a really nice formula. Again, really do like this concealer. Okay, so now we have my foundations, and I have 5 foundations, and then I have a tinted moisturizer. So we'll start out with the tinted moisturizer first because I don't use this guy on its own. I actually use this guy to mix in with my other foundations to being kind of like a undertone corrector. And that is the NYX Bear With Me Tinted Skin Veil, and I have the shade Pale Light. Now when I originally got this to be like a regular foundation for myself, but it is far too pale for me. I do have a foundation that is very similar in color to this, but the thing is though is that this guy, for whatever reason, it just makes me look even paler than that foundation, and yet I'm pretty sure they're both the same shade. But this is a great product for me to use to mix in with other foundations to correct their undertone because of the fact that it doesn't have a whole lot of coverage in it, but it does have a strong pink undertone, so I can use this to mix in with other foundations to correct their undertone. And since it doesn't have a lot of coverage, and because of the fact that it has a dewy finish, it's also going to benefit me in the long run because it's going to help like make the foundation work better with my skin type, but also since it has that pink undertone, it can shift the undertone of the foundation to make it a better match for me. But the foundation that I use that with though is the Anastasia Luminous Foundation. I have the shade 140N. Like I mentioned earlier, this guy has a neutral peach undertone, and so I'll mix a little bit of this guy in with this foundation just to get more pink into it and to make it less neutral, because if I were to use this on its own, it looks very, very yellow on me. And like the shade selectors on Sephora told me to go with this shade and everything, but it's not a good fit for me. But I do really like how this foundation looks, and it has a very similar finish to this guy, so mixing the two of them together, it doesn't alter the finish, it doesn't alter the coverage, it just alters the undertone. So I'm okay with doctoring it with this guy. I think I am going to need to buy a backup this soon. So yeah, and I might see about getting a shade darker. I might. I don't know. Then we have a foundation that is far too dark for me. Because I bought this shade at the recommendation of what Sephora told me to go with. And it is far too dark for me. So I don't think I've mixed this in with that super pale foundation that I have yet to see if I can get it to work for me that way. I don't think I've done so yet. I don't think I have. But also I do want to see about possibly buying a lighter shade of it and seeing if that could help out and whatnot. But this is the Limitless foundation from Stellar Beauty. Yes, you can see how dark it is compared to me just having it sitting next to me and whatnot, and just even me holding it. But I really do like how this foundation looks. But at the same time, I don't think I'll repurchase it because this has more of a natural finish. And a lot of times when it comes to foundations with natural finishes, they tend to pull a bit more matte on me a lot of times. And this one definitely pulls a bit more matte. And so it can look a bit dry on me someday. So I don't know if I'll purchase a different shade of this guy or repurchase it in the future. But I do like it though. It's a nice little foundation, and I think I probably will mix it in with that super pale foundation, which I'll get to it in just a moment because I have another foundation here that is just ever so slightly off. I think the issue with this guy is that it has more of like a cool peach undertone instead of a cool pink undertone. The color of it is just off ever so slightly, so I think it's just like an undertone issue, but I really love how this foundation looks on me. And it is the Smith & Cult Veiled Threat Weightless Micro Blurring Foundation, and this is in the shade 180 Cool. This foundation is wonderful. I've never heard anybody talking about this foundation before. The only reason why I bought it was because it was in the clearance section on Ulta one day, and it was for like 10 bucks and some change when it's originally like $42 or $48. So I was just like, ooh, okay, well, let's see what this guy's about. And the reviews on it were really good, but I've never heard anybody talk about this foundation. So I was just like, let's give it a go. It seems like it would be good for my skin type and everything, so let's give it a go. And I love this foundation. It looks so good on the skin, but like I said, there's something off about the undertone. If you watched my declutter video, I was wearing this foundation on its own in that video. I would try to see about going with a lighter shade, but like I talked about before, I'm not sure if the undertone would work or not, so yeah. But I really do love this foundation, but at the same time, spending that much money on another shade, I don't know if I would be able to bring myself to do, but I really love that foundation. Okay, so let's talk about that super pale foundation. This is the ColourPop Pretty Fresh foundation, and this is in the shade Light 33C. I think at one point they had more shades of this foundation, but they don't have them available on neither ColourPop site or Ulta site, because I got mine through Ulta, and it's a really nice foundation. I do find that it can look a little bit weird on me some days because it does have a natural finish, so if my skin isn't behaving the best that day, it can look a little bit weird on me. It is a good match for me. It's just that because it's so light, and I think because it is so pink, it looks a lot paler on me than it actually is, because I do try my best to match to my neck because my neck is lighter than my face ever so slightly, and this guy matches my neck nicely, so yeah. But I do like this foundation. I might see about getting a shade darker, but the next shade I think is like, I think it's 39 or 41, I think. It's a big jump from 33, so I don't know if that would be a good idea. Oh, I have another foundation. I forgot about this one. I was counting like my bottles earlier. We have this guy here, and this was a foundation that shook the beauty world because of the name of it and everything, and like the brand itself as well. It shook the beauty world for like a hot second at least. But this is the Firm Flesh Thick Stick Foundation. Yes, that is what this foundation is called. I got this from Ulta when the brand was being phased out of Ulta, and the brand still exists on their own web shop, and I really do like this stick foundation. I've tried a couple of stick foundations in the past. This is the only one that I have ever liked. And this foundation I do have to be careful with because you can easily get like drag queen-esque full coverage using this foundation. Like, it can get very intense really quickly, so you gotta be careful with using this guy. I used it the other day for the first time in a while, and I loved how it looked, and it's just a really nice stick foundation. It goes for $18, which for the amount of product that you get 4.6 grams in here, so you don't get a whole lot of product, which converted to ounces, that is 0.16 ounces. So you don't get a lot of product in here, but a little bit does go a long way with this product, and it looks really good on the skin if you have like dry skin. And I'm in the shade 7 Birthday Cake. And the last foundation that I have, and the last product in this particular collection video, we have the foundation that I am wearing today, which is probably my favorite foundation. I need to get a backup of it because I'm running low on it. I've been holding off on using this guy because of the fact that I do need to repurchase it. But it is the NYX Born to Glow foundation. I have the shade Porcelain. I love this foundation. It is my favorite foundation. It looks so good on the skin. It looks good on me every single time I wear it. And I just love this foundation so much, and it's part of the reason why I used it today, because like I mentioned, I didn't put on any moisturizer underneath my primer today. I just wanted to use the primer on its own to see how it would go, and I wanted to make sure to use a foundation that I know would look good on me, and it still looks good on me today. And I love this product so much. I do make sure to like shake it before I use it because of the fact that I'm running low on it, and I hate the sound of it, because I mean, it's just like, yeah, I hate the sound so much, but I do shake it to make sure that like it's not separating and whatnot, because sometimes when you have foundations that are running low, they'll start to separate a bit more easily. So yeah, but I love that foundation so much. It's only about $10, so I'm totally fine with replacing it and getting a backup of it. It's just I don't want to do it just yet. And that is it for everything that is in my face drawer in this first installment of my makeup collection series. I hope you guys enjoyed it. The next installment of this series will be dedicated to my eyes and lips drawer, so I will see you guys in that video. But until I see you guys then, whenever the hell that may be, goodbye.